There is no getting away from it. Change is coming. But I'm sorry to interrupt my video, but I completely forgot. What will be more crucial than ever going forward is this is the first plug-in hybrid campervan from Volkswagen. And it raises some important questions. Big changes are coming, and I'm going to explain. This won't be the last. And I actually know that there's some current Volkswagen Qualified Manufacturers that have also got some models in development and some very interesting features. These are the types of campervans that we're going to be seeing much more of in the near future. Other brands are developing their plug-in campers as well. No doubt there's going to be full electric ones as well. At the launch of this new California, some people were disappointed that it was actually without the hybrid option, as that was the one which they wanted. And I'm going to add here that the new California is built on the T7 multivan platform. This is a Volkswagen product. This isn't part of that Ford-Volkswagen collaboration. Now, the camper itself has generated a lot of interest, and it was really popular at the NEC show where Campervantastic had one of them on the stand. It wasn't actually their van, but it was one which they were able to take to the show, and they was really excited to show it off. I think they've actually got a few on the fleet now, so you can actually hire them from there. Now, I haven't actually seen any of the official sales numbers, but I've seen lots of Californias out on the road in a variety of covers. Personally, I really like the California Ocean, and if I was buying one, it'd probably be this one which I'd opt for, the hybrid that is. But prices for the hybrid are higher than what's currently available with the diesel engine, and it starts at $71,295 for the beach and then $85,395 for the Ocean, and both prices are before options. But they have opened the order book with a 0% finance offer. So if that is something which you're interested in, then 0% finance might tempt you a little bit further. Now, many will say that this price is too much, and I am not saying that it isn't, but have you seen the prices of some of the other campers, which are nowhere near the quality of the California? Everything has gone up in price, but if the previous variants of the California are anything to go by, then the residuals of this one are also going to be very good. But even if they are good value, they are going to be out of reach for many people, including myself. And in future videos, which I'm going to be having over the next few months, hopefully going to help many of you out with that. Lots of great information, so do watch this space. But I'm not here to talk about how great or not this campervan is, and whether it's big enough for you. That's something for you to decide, and if it suits your lifestyle. It does appear though that the marketing of this has been aimed at general motorists, as opposed to people in the campervan world, existing owners and the like. Perhaps it's more aimed at families to kind of get into the lifestyle, begin it for the first time. It's just another option for somebody wanting a campervan or a day van, as some people might say. But the main point here is the fact that this is the first hybrid campervan from Volkswagen. And just very quickly about it, it's a 1.5 petrol engine with a 19.7 kilowatt hour battery, which means it's capable of being on battery power alone up to 54 miles. Real world mileage may well differ, but power wise it's 245 PS, and it is the 4Motion which a lot of people are after, definitely the sought after of the outgoing T6.1. And regarding the campervan aspects of it, it's got the same high levels of equipment which you're going to find in the diesel powered derivative, meaning it's very good. All that modern tech with the screens and what the Volkswagen call it, the 3-zone living, because it's got those twin sliding doors. And it's a good van. Whether it's for you or not, then that's actually something only you can decide. But back to the powertrain, and the goalposts of this are currently floating quite a lot. And as far as the long-term future of the internal combustion engine, we know it's going to be coming to an end, but we just don't know when. At present, the cut-off date for the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles is 2030, with hybrids being able to be sold until 2035. But the small print on that and the detail will no doubt change, as well as having some allowances and some of the criteria being adapted. So 2030 or 2035 is going to be here very soon, and therefore the market reaction and feedback from these new models is going to go a long way to helping what manufacturers do next. Whether we like it or not, it does seem that petrol and diesel are going to be going. All is not lost though, I'll mention that in a minute. They won't just disappear, but production of the new ones will stop. So hopefully I do still have chance to buy that older Porsche 911, which I long to drive. When I say old, I don't mean like ancient. I just mean something that I could regularly use, like a 9974S or something like that, not a much older garage queen, which I'd want to be kept in there. All gonna have a dream, right? Yep, and that's mine. I've always wanted to have a 911. Maybe, just maybe one day. Anyway, forgetting about that, what does all this mean for the campervan industry and our campervans? Well, for a start, how many of you have a diesel heater installed in your van? Well, if there's no diesel engine, there's not going to be a diesel tank to supply that heater. You could have a separate tank, I suppose, and I know that some of them do this now. It is kind of a way that some of these budget converters do look at kind of cutting the costs, because it's much easier just to slap in one of these plastic tanks than it is to be dropping the tank and spending the man hours doing that. But if we've not got diesel, what are those other options? Well, we've seen the eco-wagon conversion with the electric heated floor, that big battery bank to actually help facilitate this, and all the other electrical appliances within the campervan. And I'm going to be doing a video soon discussing this in detail, explaining some of the pros and cons of different setups, why one might suit you more than another one. Electric heaters are going to be more common, which is okay when you're hooked up, but when off-grid, it can be more of a challenge. What will be more crucial than ever going forward is good insulation. If we're no longer using the efficient heaters like the diesel or the gas heaters, we're more reliant on the electric heaters, then retaining that heat is going to be very, very important. Now, the majority of converters do insulate anyway, but not all. So that is another reason to ensure that your van is properly insulated. Now, in development at present are some alternative power systems for campers, which is going to be quite exciting. I'm not quite sure of the timeline, but it's not going to be long before we see some of these new innovative ideas. We're already starting to see an increase in gas-free conversions, like the Bowdens. The Bowdens have actually had theirs for a few years now, and they run it themselves. It's off-grid and off-road. Companies are starting to offer bigger electric options, so they can actually have different cooking facilities, dual powered in some cases, gas hob and an electric hob. We've got the induction hobs, which often need those bigger battery packs. Microwaves have been around for a while, but I know that some are not actually often used. Now, whether that's because they've been implemented so they can only be used whilst you're actually on hookup, or people just feel that there's better ways of cooking that a nice meal in a campervan. I do have to say that I think the space where a microwave is, it could be better utilised with something else. You know, perhaps an air fryer. Air fryers are really becoming very popular now because they are really versatile. You can cook different types of food and they cook them really well. Cook it in different ways. I'd rather have an air fried meal far more often than a microwave one. And let's not also forget about the good old barbecue. You know, you can even have a pizza oven like this. It's solo stove. The wood's running out, flames are going out, and I'm just going to put that on there, and I'm now going to get a load of comments saying the solo stove, which is smokeless, is smoking. Yeah, it probably will do, because I've just put a log on there now which has got bark on it, and that bark is a little bit moist, so that's what can kind of happen. But I've had that for years and I absolutely love it. They put the pizza topper on it, cooks perfect pizzas. Anyway, hot water is now also being commonly fitted in campervans, like Bespoke Leisure. They've got hot water and lithium batteries as standard in the conversions, which at the moment is the Transit, but that will soon also be the new Transporter. The Transporter, which is going to be one of very, very few Volkswagen Qualified Manufactured vans. Remember that list which I mentioned the other week? Yeah, there's only 6 on it at the moment, so do be careful when people are telling you that they're VW Qualified Manufacturer. Check the list. I'm sorry to interrupt my video, but I completely forgot to say thank you, and it's really important that I do. So thank you to Sarah, who actually sent me a super thanks, which was £4.99. Now, I've said before that I don't generally make a lot of money when I'm making these videos. In fact, the video which I did about the no ordinary camper van, I didn't even cover my costs in diesel alone, never mind my time in actually making that video. You know, us as content creators, YouTubers, we don't make millions and millions of pounds like a lot of people think which we do. I saw the other day that somebody who's got 455,000 subscribers was saying that the money which they get from YouTube now is so low that they're actually thinking about going part-time. Now, I only do it as a hobby anyway, so it's not a big thing. But the point here is, out of that £4.99, which was kindly sent to me, that person thought I was going to get that. I actually only got £2.02. You can see here, in the last 365 days, from Super Thanks, that's all I've got. So if you was intending to give me £5, £1 or whatever, then I wouldn't get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a PayPal link. So if you did want to give me a quid, £2, whatever it is, then use that instead. Just so obviously you're not actually giving it to anybody else. I didn't want you to think that I was getting all that, because I'm actually not. Anyway, back on to the video. Anyway, without the diesel engine, and possibly the gas too, that's the greater reliance on that electrical power, the generation and the storage of it. Now, prices for lithium iron phosphate batteries are reducing. They've come down a hell of a lot in the last few years. But there's still going to be that storage aspect. Where do you put them? Where do you put these multiple batteries, especially in a small van? Maybe that future chat which I'm going to be having with EcoWagon, I can ask him where he puts his, when he puts these big power banks in there. Getting power into the batteries can be pretty quick with the modern chargers and the solar panels, which are just forever increasing in efficiency. Technology's improved and will continue to improve. We know that it certainly doesn't hang around, especially when there's a real need for it. And a real need for it to be developed now because of this future which we're going into. The new California is a hybrid with a petrol engine, but when we're all electric, there's going to be no combustion engine at all. All things are going to completely change again. However, with all electric, we've got a much bigger vehicle battery, and that could be used to power these electrical devices, like I've mentioned, the cooking, the heater and other things. Then if we're using the vehicle battery to help with that, then it's going to be taking some of that pressure off the leisure batteries. It's just going to be a case of adapting to these new technologies as opposed to worrying about them. And oh no, I hear you say, what about charging my EV? Well, actually, yes, until recently, that's kind of what I thought myself, until I had that ID buzz for 4 days, during which I realised how much improved that network is. I realised that the availability of the chargers was far greater than I expected. And yes, I know that when more people have the vehicles, there's going to be less availability of the charges. But there is a growing number of these chargers. They're just going to increase and increase. But what about campsites? It is a good question. And they all do vary. They all vary like they do with everything else. But more and more are being installed. This is only going to improve. I've seen them at sites. I've seen them actually on pitches, so people can park up and actually charge the vehicle whilst they're on the pitch. They will adapt like they have done before. There's more and more just normal electric pitches now, as these campsites have had to evolve over the years to adapt to what our needs have been as consumers. They've put in those electrical posts. Well, they're just going to have to adapt them now for the electric vehicles as well. So if you're on a campsite and if you're out and about, that's fine. And if you're off-grid, stealth camping or finding that secret location that nobody knows about, then you're just going to have to plan your trip a little bit better. You know, just make sure that you've got enough charge for you when you're parking up. The Motorhome and Caravan Show is coming up again in October at the NEC, and there's almost certainly going to be a lot more hybrids. There's going to be possibly even full electric. There is no getting away from it. Change is coming. But if you're not ready for that electric era yet, then have a look at what people are camping in now. Not everybody's camping in the brand new vans anyway, are they? People are using vehicles which are a few years old. They could be 10 years old, 15, 20 years old, and some even more. We're still going to be able to use our combustion engine vehicles for many years yet. And I will also add, before somebody else does that is, yes, we could be using hydrogen. There could be something else. But for now, that near future, it is hybrid or electric. The lifestyle which we love is still going to be here. It's just going to be changing. But if you think that that lifestyle, that owning a camper van and visiting the campsites is too expensive, then you can have a look at here where I explain that that's not necessarily true. Or have a look at some lovely camper vans here. Take care, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.